It's that time of the week again. It's the Alley-Oop podcast. I'm Andrew Gage. This is Leonard Copeland. And Leonard, we've got a huge show to get into because the NBA, they're down to the conference finals and a couple of major upsets.
I'm not happy.
Well, just keep your powder dry.
Really, I don't even know if I want to talk about it, but I'm just not happy. I'm not happy.
Well, keep your powder dry because you've got a lot of explaining to do because you were guaranteed.
I got a lot of explaining. They got a lot of explaining.
My friend, have a lot of explaining to do because you are all up on the Clippers.
The whole year.
Just would not have a bar of my predictions with the Lakers, and it's just proven to be that I'm the more astute judge, and you're just
don't count your chickens yet, bro. Don't count them yet.
Up with it, and the big news is with the Clippers out, Houston out, and then in the East we've got the Bucks out, Miami, they're through, got through to the finals, and not only got through to the finals in Game 1, said Boston, hey, just lower your expectations, Celtics fans, because we're here and we're ready to play, and they got that Game 1 win. But Coach, before we get stuck into the show, we just got to mention that our little podcast, the Alley-Oop podcast, is drawing attention throughout the state of Victoria, throughout the nation of Australia, and we've gone global. And everyone wants to be a part of the program. This week, we had two very significant interviews. We got to talk to Devin Buckley, is a former Carlton player, son of Jim Buckley, went on, played a couple of games with GWS, and has become a podcasting sensation.
Guru. He's a podcasting guru is what he is.
Over 1 million downloads of his podcast.
1.5, bro. Don't sell him short. 1.5, homie.
Well, that's the sort of numbers that we're aspiring to, and
Yes,
I reckon it might take us 20 or 30 years to get to that level. But we got to have a chat to him about the AFL, about his podcast, about just him as a person, which is a great chat. And we also speak to Nate Duncan. Now, Nate Duncan is an American, and what he doesn't know about the NBA is not worth knowing. When it comes to salary cap, when it comes to player movement, he's developed applications that a lot of the teams will use. He's just a star when it comes to everything about the NBA. We catch up with him for a very in-detailed conversation about all the mechanics of the NBA that the general managers have to go through with salary cap, with trading players, all the little nuts and bolts that are so important. And, Coach, I think it's important that people jump on and listen to that podcast if you're interested in the NBA, because sometimes you see trades, you see some decisions, and to the mere layperson, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
We have no idea.
We don't. But when you get a bit more of an understanding, which Nate Duncan goes into, I think some of those really quirky ones, they don't make total sense, but they start to make a little bit of sense. And it's something, Copes, that the Milwaukee Bucks are going to have to deal with, because trying to hang on to the Greek freak Giannis Antetokounmpo, the management have come out and said that they are going to spend over the salary cap in order to put
they got to give him some help.
A team around him. And just quickly, Copes, the little unfollowing that Giannis did straight after the season, just unfollowed all his teammates.
He does that every year, though. Yes. Everyone calm down. He's not going anywhere. The Greek freak is staying in Milwaukee. I've talked to my people, and they say the Greek freak is going to buy a house. He's hanging around, bro.
Well, stick around, too, because a little later in the program, we want to talk about the NBA All-Stars teams. They were announced. There's 3 teams, and Australia's very own Ben Simmons was a selection, and he made the 3rd All-Star team. But we'll get into that a little bit later. We want to start it off right from the top, Copes. Let's get stuck into the issue that's just still buzzing around the basketball world, and that is the Los Angeles Clippers. Choke. They're all sorts of abusive messages coming their way.
And they deserve it. How do you go up 3-1 in a series and lose to the Denver Nuggets? It's not supposed to happen with the kind of talent that the LA Clippers have on that team.
Well,
do you blame the players? Do you blame the coach? You tell me.
Well, I think, Coach, the question is are we underselling with comments like that? are we underselling the spectacular play of the Denver Nuggets rather than what we seem to right now just be discrediting the Clippers and not giving enough love for a team that in 2 consecutive series has come back from a 1-3 deficit. Never before in the history of the NBA has that ever happened.
Or are we saying the Clippers took their foot off the pedal? You're up 3-1.
Yes.
Up 17 points.
Yes.
In the third quarter, and you lose to these guys. Now, I got a problem with it because I say this. It happens one time, yes. It happens again. There's a problem going on that needs to be addressed. It needs to be fixed. I honestly think, and I could be wrong here, but I honestly think in the playoffs, when you try to play 10, 11 guys, you lose momentum, and I think that's a problem. And that's happened to Doc Rivers 3 times in his coaching career. Is his job safe? I want to know.
Well, that's a big question. And Doc Rivers, as great as he is, won an NBA title with the Boston Celtics. I don't think there's any doubting his coaching ability, but some of the conversations we hear now, has the game passed him by? I say rubbish, hasn't passed him by. But because you look at that Game 7 and you look at each of one of those games when they were up 3-1, each and every one of those games, they had double-digit leads. In fact, in Game 6, they led it by as many as 20 and came up short. Now, that's not always about coaching. And your 2 superstars, when the money is on the line, Game 7, you need to step up. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, they had stinkers.
Let me ask you a question. Denver played great. We're not taking anything from Denver. They only got 2 main guys that score the rock. Okay?
Oh, that's a little unfair.
Okay, but their 2 main guys did most of the lifting. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, Jamal Murray had 40 points in that Game 7. And
Jokic had a triple-double in the third quarter, I do believe.
Nikola Jokic certainly did. He had 22 rebounds, and he had 16 points.
Here's my question. Hey,
yes.
Put your coaching hat on now.
Yes, please.
One guy killing you, do you then double-team him? Like they tried to double-team Jokic, which they shouldn't have because all of his was passes. He's the smartest player I've seen in a long time. You come in double, somebody's open, I'm going to drop it off. Now, Murray's the guy who scores all the points. How dare you let him get 20 in the first half and 20 in the second half? You double him and you make somebody else beat your jury. Bottom line.
Jamal Murray, since he's come into the bubble, he has been fantastic. He was tormented by –
He's bubblicious. He's bubblicious.
He's bubblicious.
40, 50, 50, 40. He's bubblicious, bro.
He was disappointed in his Game 7 last season when they went out to the Portland Trailblazers, and he has bounced back incredibly well. But with the Clippers, I just get a little upset. I don't point the finger exclusively at Doc Rivers. I think you always look back and say, yeah, we could have done this a little bit differently, and the defensive schemes that maybe you could do things a little bit differently. But each and every game, Copes, they're up double digits. So they're doing something right.
Slow the ball down. If you're the coach, you got to do something different. You can't. Doc Rivers has lost in 2003 against the Orlando. When he coached the Orlando Magic, he lost to the Pistons in 2003, being up 3-1. Yes. He had Tracy McGrady. Yes. McGrady goes, it feels great to go to the next round. They didn't make it to the next round. Then in 2015, he's up 3-1 with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, and he loses that round. You're up 3-1, bro. I don't care what you say. It happens one time, they look at you sideways. If you're up 3-1, most people will look at you sideways if you lose that round. If it happens once. If it happens twice, 9 times out of 10, you lose your job. If it happens 3 times, you can't even look at basketball again. Yeah. Come on, bro. Time for that. He needs to go to golf. Sit in the golf or something.
So, Coach, you're saying, no question in your mind, Doc Rivers, just simply on the basis of this series here, ta-da. You're saying ta-da.
Simply on the basis that it's happened 3 times, the most in NBA history. 3 times it's happened.
That's not 3-1. So you're saying that's not a coincidence?
That is not a coincidence, bro. Something has to change, Doc. Yep. Well, I think maybe the game has passed. Doc played in the early 80s and the 90s, bro. I remember back in the day. Maybe the game has passed him on. I'm a little bit heated about this.
How can you say? I mean,
Clippers are my team.
You can't just say just because of his age and how long he's been around. Otherwise, Greg Popovich wouldn't be still coaching and still.
Greg Popovich, well, guess what? Greg Popovich didn't make the playoffs this year either, so maybe it's time to bring some of these
don't you start trying to get rid of
Greg Popovich. He didn't make the playoffs.
Don't you start getting rid of Greg Popovich, my friend.
Some of these young boys to come in here and change the game, bro.
Well, I think you're oversimplifying it ever so slightly and not passing enough of a criticism on the two superstars, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George in particular. Lou Williams never had a great series.
Montrez never played great.
Yes.
Absolutely right. But then when you try to play 10 guys, Drewy, in the Game 7,
yes.
Imagine you coaching the Sydney Kings. We're in the playoffs, and you play 10 guys. Come on, Drewy. Come on, man. Come on.
Well, you're right. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Only 8 guys played double-digit minutes.
How many guys end up playing though?
8 guys. Well, the other guys played 6, 4, 2, and 1 minute. You can't count that.
12 guys?
No, he played 8 guys. They're getting it in junk time, coach.
There was no junk time. There was no junk time.
The game was over. They were 20 down with 3.5, 4 minutes to go, whatever it was.
That's right. So with 2 minutes to go,
we only played 8 guys. The argument there. Let me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He only played 8 guys.
He played the other guys 6, 7, 8 minutes where he shouldn't have.
The two of them only got in the last 2.5 minutes.
Well,
Terrence Mann and Rodney Magruder. Reggie Jackson played 4 minutes, and Landry Shamet he would have played, but he got hurt.
That's right.
So they only played 8 guys.
That's too many guys in the playoffs, bro.
Coach, your argument's just starting to.
Hey, well, let me tell you something. My argument is this. Yes. Here's my argument. Please. You cannot go up 3-1 and lose once. You do it twice, something's wrong. You do it 3 times, it's the general manager's fault because he should have fired your ass after the second time. All right? Let's go, bro.
He hasn't done it 3 times.
Not happening. He's done it 3 times. He's been up 3-1 3
just
times.
Just because your Clippers lost, just calm.
Oh, bro, let's move on before I call Doc.
Well, I don't want to move on without you giving us some love to my boy, Nikola Jokic. This guy, he was a star. He's an absolute superstar. Yes, but he's taking his game to another level. Coach, he is handling the ball, 6'10", point guard, distributing the ball, little fadeaways, not blessed with unbelievable athleticism.
None whatsoever.
There's not none. He's a decent.
No athleticism, but he's the smartest guy on the floor. You got to give it to him. He does a lot of things well.
He does. He's passing in his vision, the way he sees the ball, and I know it never went in, and the dying stage is when he threw it over the back of his head.
Mark Jackson called him the best passing center in NBA history.
Yep.
So I reckon, we've seen some big centers that can pass, but this guy's special.
All right, we move on. Have you seen enough from the Denver Nuggets and just this incredible run they've had? Are they any chance against my team?
Never say never.
Any team
that can come back from down 3-1, you got to give them a chance. They're playing right now. They're very high. The attitude's high. The camp is high. So I say this. You're mighty Los Angeles Lakers. If the Lakers come out that first game playing around, they will get beat. If Anthony Davis don't show up like he has in a couple of games, they will get beat. LeBron James has to be LeBron James to beat this. And Magic Johnson said that. He said, guys, don't come out messing around. These guys are dangerous.
Oh, well, of course. And the Lakers are – you're right. I think the key to it is Anthony Davis. But the whole thing's opened up right for the Lakers. I was with you. I thought the Clippers would give them the best challenge. I thought that they'd still get over the line, and Anthony Davis needed to be playing his absolute very best. But there's some players there that I spoke to. We spoke to Rick Bucher last week, and I said, if you get a little bit more out of Kuzma, you get a little bit more out of Danny Green, and he poo-pooed me. He said that Danny Green, his best is completely and utterly gone. Well, he comes back and has 14 in that deciding game against Houston. Kuzma has 17, gets the job done. They're the sort of guys. Markieff Morris is coming in and playing that role. I think he had 16 in the game. So They are getting performances, shot the absolute slop out of it. Set a franchise record, I think, for three-pointers made.
That never happens. That never ever happens with the Lakers.
But what it does do is it shows that they're getting their mojo together. That they're
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question before we move on.
Right.
If LeBron and Murray cancel each other out, which they can do because Murray can score.
Please, don't insult.
Hold it.
Murray's not even – Murray is a fantastic player, but he's not even in the same league as LeBron. Look, Murray, yeah, of course he can. He's had 50 and 40. He's putting numbers up. But please.
Okay, so if LeBron –
they're not going to cancel each other out.
All I'm saying is LeBron comes out with 30 and Murray has 40. That's sort of a cancel right there, right? Am I right or wrong?
Well, LeBron's a triple-double waiting to happen.
Let me ask you the question, bro.
All right, talk to me.
If Murray comes out with 35 and LeBron has 29, is that canceling each other out? Yes, right?
Well, I think LeBron's game, you got to judge it on other elements.
Here's another one. If Anthony Davis comes out with his 25 and 7, and Nikolai comes out with his 31, 7, 9, 22, 18, 15, do they cancel each other out?
But they will nullify each other somewhat.
Now it depends on the extras. Yeah. I honestly think Denver's extras are more consistent than the Lakers' extras.
Well, your son, Rajon Rondo, he has been a sensation. I'll be honest, I thought he was cooked, but he's come back and doing some really good things. The Caruso kid is serviceable. Kuzma, it was a start. And now he's accepted a lesser role.
Listen to me.
Doing well. I haven't put a line through Danny Green. Caldwell Pope can shoot it. Mate, the Lakers have got better talent.
When you talk about the Lakers, you talk about the two bigs. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, of course. Without Davis and LeBron.
When you talk about Denver, you talk about the Denver Nuggets.
Well, the same applies, like you said. If Jokic and Murray aren't firing up, they're in a world of hurt.
But if they do fire, then it depends on the extras. I'm leaning towards Denver. I'm not saying Denver's going to beat the Lakers, but I'm saying they got a chance. All right,
Coach. Well, we're taking a little bit more time than we anticipated.
That's all right. Let's move on, Bo. That was important to me.
So it is important. But can I just get your tip in that series, please?
I think the Lakers will be more experienced, but you can't count Denver out ever.
Well, Coach, we just need to give a quick a summary of the Houston Rockets and where they're at. Mike D'Antoni, he said, ta-da, it's time for me to move on. Apparently, the Philadelphia 76ers.
They're hot on the trail, bro.
Well, it is, but you're going from one extreme to the other. If you're management of the Philadelphia 76ers, where you had this big lineup, Ben Simmons is the point. Across the board, they were a lot bigger, as opposed to small ball that I guess there's a lot of people saying, well, perhaps we put a line through that and maybe that doesn't work. But it seems like, to me, not the logical fit with Philadelphia. Great coach. Don't take nothing away from D'Antoni. He does some tremendous.
Does D'Antoni make Ben Simmons shoot threes now?
Well, that's it. Exactly. That's a surprise. But with the Houston Rockets, does this put to bed the small ball? Do we now just put a line through that?
I thought that small ball was asleep a long time ago, Drew. Let me tell you why. Because you got a 5-man Capella who's leading the league in rebounds.
Well, he's not there anymore.
He's not there anymore. That's right. So imagine having him when you got 4 other guys bombing away from outside. He goes to the glass and kicks it back out. Right now they got Tucker, who's done a great job, but he's 6'5". There's no way you're going to make it past what you made it past. You're not going to get to the playoffs with that crap.
It's funny. It's amazing when you think of it, because a lot of people really like the Houston Rockets. They like their talent and the way they were doing it. But I'm not so sure, mainly because you've got 2 former MVPs in James Harden and Russell Westbrook, who I might add, Russell Westbrook did not impress me at all throughout that series. I know he's a great player and he's put up some big numbers throughout the course of the series.
He struggled.
But he was – and the carry on with Rajon Rondo's brother.
Did you see when they're down 29, he's talking trash to the bench about doubling him. Are you kidding me? Shoot it. We're going to let you shoot, buddy. Go ahead. Get your ass out of here. Come on, man.
So the Houston Rockets, they're going to be in the market for a new coach as well. We'll see if that changes their style of play. But D'Antoni, you confident he'll be picked up somewhere else?
I'm sure somebody will pick him up. He's got too much experience. He didn't do great.
The game hasn't passed him by, you're saying, Coach?
No. He'll be
Not
all
like
right.
you just completely destroyed my man, Doc Rivers. You just
your man now. Doc Rivers is my man. I trained with Doc
You
Rivers
just
when I was a young kid. I
wanted
love
to-
Doc Rivers. But I just think you can't go up 3-1 3 times, Drew. You know it. You know it, and I know it. You just don't want to say it.
Well, Coach, let's turn our attention to the Eastern Conference and Miami. They just keep on keeping on. And they are a team that personifies the word team, in my opinion. The way in which they share it around. Jimmy Butler is the closer, and we saw it again in this game against the Celtics, a game that the Celtics led for the vast majority of the game.
Should have won.
And really just couldn't put him away, and just some execution down the stretch really cost him. But Jimmy Butler with his 20 points, it was an overtime game, so they played their 53 minutes. He played 43 of the 53. But the Bam Adebayo,
You see that block?
block.
That block? Yeah.
The block, he had 18 points. Check this, 9 assists and 6 rebounds in that game. He had like an extraordinary assist game as well. But that block is going to go down as one of the all-time greats blocks in the history of the NBA if they go on to win it. Because
you know what I like about Miami's team, Drewy? They got a bunch of young guys that
Yep.
come off the bench who aren't afraid, and they play hard every game. They're not coming out there trying to be superstars. There's no ego. They knock down open shots. They all play defense. Now I don't know if that's from the coach or Jimmy Butler or the team saying, "Look, we got to buy in." Everyone's hustling. Everyone's doing what they do, man. And then there's no egos. You don't see any egos on that team.
Well, Eric Spoelstra, I give a lot of credit because I'm looking at this team and go, yeah, it's a nice team, but Tyler Hero, a rookie, is coming out and playing big minutes and doing really well. 12 points, 9 assists, 11 rebounds in that game one, coming from one of your guards, and can shoot it as a threat.
Dragic is magnificent. He's
Goran Dragic, 29 points
Wow.
in that first game. And they really, when you talk about rotations, they have a pretty tight rotation. Now, I know the game went into extra time, but they've got 5 of their players played 39 minutes or more.
What happened?
So
Did they win? Did they win? Did they win?
they did.
Tell him to call Doc Rivers and talk about it, son. Come on, man. Come on, bro.
But Coach, that is, I'm sure, a factor that in the rotations, when you get settled and you're playing well, it's easy to do. And then for the Celtics, are you concerned? Do you see the problems that they had down the stretch?
Yeah, you know what I think, though? I think Tatum, who's been playing magnificently the whole bubble,
had 30 and 14 rebounds.
but he took some ill-advised threes at the end of the game when he should have taken that ball to the hole, and he tried it the last play of the overtime game. But I just think some of the threes, he looked like he didn't have any legs. He's pulling up a three, and they're going in the game, so it's hard not to take those threes. But that comes with playoff experience, knowing you can't depend on just three-pointers at the end of a game.
Well, and it gets to your point, and this is a statistic that you say, well, hang on, maybe they need to share the minutes a little bit more. Now, I know it went extra time, it was 53, but you got Jaylen Brown played 44 minutes, Tatum 43, Marcus Smart 43, and Kemba Walker 43. So you got your 4 main guys, and the argument to contradict what you were saying before is...
That is not contradicting. You lose by 1 or 2 points, so you're in the game. The Clippers lost by 20, bro. Come on, man. Ain't no contradiction.
No, but
could have won that game. Boston still could have won the game. They went into overtime.
and should have won. Should have won.
Joey, go back to when you played with the Melbourne Tigers. Imagine your dad taking you out the game and putting Brett Rainbow in a playoff game 7. Come on, man. Come on, bro.
He wouldn't do that. He played 6 guys in the middle of
That's
the
why.
season.
So it's a smart man, huh? That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah. Well, it's a.
I got an argument. You know it. Don't even try it. You know I got an argument here.
No, I actually agree with you. And you and I were there were some commentators criticising us for not playing players.
Yeah,
we were coaching. So that is our philosophy as well. So we are vehemently on the same page. I think during the season there was some stat that we got from the advanced stats that we had the lowest rotations of any teams in the NBL. So we are on the same page, but you can't ignore the fact that they were poor in the dying stages, and fatigue maybe could be one of the reasons that you could point to as an explanation as to why they might not have got over the line.
The NBA is one of the leagues that get more they get more timeouts than anybody I've ever seen in my life. And they're the longest timeouts.
Yes.
2 minutes, 3 minutes. Give your boys a break. Call another timeout, Doc. But don't go to number 12, 13 and say, come get him, because he's not going to work in game 7. That's all I say.
No, fair enough. Hey, Copes, we need to switch gears again because we want to hum through a number of topics here. And the next topic we want to talk about is the NBA All-Star teams were announced.
Yep.
And the NBA first team, Luka Doncic, James Harden, LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Anthony Davis.
All well deserved.
For me, I say they got it right. And usually in that top team, you say, oh, hang on, I've got an argument with someone else. But as I went through all the numbers of the different players, I give them the tick for that one. The second team was Chris Paul, Damian Lillard, Kawhi Leonard, Pascal Siakam, and Nikola Jokic.
Well, I got one problem. Siakam, he played okay before the bubble. In the bubble, he was horrendous.
No, he wasn't horrendous.
He was horrendous because he was the leader of that team. There were games, and you know why I know he's horrendous? Because I tried to bet on him and lost every time. I'm telling you now, he was horrendous. He had games where he didn't make a jump shot. He didn't shoot any threes. When Kawhi Leonard left, they gave him the keys to that team, and he didn't lead it. He did not lead that team. So I would look at guys like Devin Booker.
Yes.
Devin Booker, who was a flat-out superstar.
Well, he is a superstar. Well, he took his game to another level, I thought, in the bubble. But what type of numbers was he putting up during?
Devin Booker averaged 25, 27, 29 points a game, I want to say.
Jeez, you've gone from 25 to 27 to 29.
Devin Booker averaged 26.6 points per game and shot 49%, bro.
Wow.
The season, 49%.
Well, it's going to bring us to the next one. And he was one of the ones I had on my list. I thought they might have found a position for him because the third team All-Stars was Ben Simmons, Russell Westbrook, Jimmy Butler, Jason Tatum, and Rudy Gobert. Now, the problem I have with saying Devin Booker deserves to be in there, and I want to put up an argument also for Donovan Mitchell. I thought Donovan Mitchell was worthy. But the problem I've got, I don't know who you take out. Because
the third team? You mean the third team?
Of anywhere, of reshuffling these.
Russell Westbrook out. Now he averaged 27 points a game.
Yep.
He was inconsistent. I mean,
I think your judgment's blurred because he's just coming off a game where they lost and he wasn't great. But his overall numbers were spectacular.
Do you put a guy on a team because they made the playoffs? Perhaps because Bradley Beal averaged 30.5. Number 2 in the league the whole year. Yeah. And he shot 46%.
Well, that is true. Now, it comes down to your numbers, just pure numbers, and what happens with your team. Because if you look at all these names that I've just read out, Jimmy Butler is there as the representative of the Miami Heat. Now, Jimmy Butler's numbers
19 points a game, 20 points a game. 20 points.
So they're solid. They're nice, but they're not as spectacular in an individual basis of some of these other guys. So Devin Booker's numbers are, just as you look at them on paper, are better than, I think, Jimmy Butler.
Trae Young had great numbers. They didn't make the playoffs, but he had super numbers. So.
That's what I'm saying. So you can't just look at the individual numbers. You've also got to look at the performances of your team. And trying to not have one single player in any of these from the Miami Heat would have been criminal because they're through to the Final Four, and you had to find someone, and he just sneaks in in the third team, All-Star team. So they're the two. Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, for me, are ones that are worthy of being there. Have you got any others?
No, I keep saying going back to Booker, Bradley Beal, and Trae Young are the three guys that I think probably should have got a mention. I mean, Brandon Ingram was great.
CJ McCollum.
CJ McCollum was right up there. He averaged 22.2 points a game.
Nice numbers.
Well, DeMar Rosen averaged 22 points a game. So there's guys, not everyone can make it.
No.
Not everyone can make it. But I just don't think that, and like you said, maybe it's because we watched him in the playoffs and he was horrendous. Not horrendous. He wasn't great. Yep. Russell Westbrook, he struggled. And Siakam struggled as well. So
before we get on to Ben Simmons, the other thing we've got to really make mention of, what a performance by LeBron James. We take him for granted sometimes, but he has now joined illustrious company. He's joined Tim Duncan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kobe Bryant with his 15 All-NBA selection.
That's beautiful.
So that is 15, Copes.
What he will not join is this. He will not get that. Six. Remember this? He will not get that, bro.
No, but that's. We
love LeBron. He's not the GOAT.
Well, that's
talking going, but yeah.
No. Well, we congratulate him on that achievement and the standard that he has played at for such a long period of time. I know you.
I love him. I think he's the best player in the league right now. Right. Because Giannis is out and Kawhi is out. So right now he's the best in the league.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole nother argument that even right now you're saying that on the back of what we saw from Kawhi Leonard, that you say that Kawhi Leonard's ahead of LeBron James.
One bad game. LeBron hasn't had one bad game? Come on, man. One bad game.
Well, it was a bad one when it really counted, and they're all superstars, but gee whiz. Copes, getting back to Ben Simmons, he made that third team, and because of the kickers in his contract, he got an extra bonus of a $26 million. So across the term of his contract, he signed a max deal. It's now valued at $243 million.
Is that 26 million Australian or 26 million?
These are Australian.
Yes.
Australian. Actually, I don't know that. That's a good point. That could be US dollars. We can check that. But the bottom line, when you're talking telephone numbers like that, suffice to say, it's a hell of a lot of money.
100%.
But, Copes, the thing that I love about a man that's just picked up an extra 26 million, which normally you'd be going, yippee, happy days, that he's tweeted out that, or on social media, that no rest for him, no off season. He doesn't feel like he deserves it, and he's got a picture of him in the gym working out. No vacation, don't deserve it. I like it. I like it. The message he's sending.
Send it our way, bro. You ain't got to take it, Ben.
No, I'm sure he wants to loot, but I think that when you've got all that loot, it might be easy to pack up and go to Cancun.
Of course.
And we need to talk about Cancun in a minute. But also the fact that he says, hey, not good enough. Not good enough getting bundled out in the first round. I need to get that, and he's back in the gym working out. Full credit.
That's something we needed to hear from Ben. Let people know that he's still dedicated. He's still in there. He knows he has to get better for the Philadelphia 76ers to make the playoffs.
Wanted to get your take on what we saw from Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. When the Clippers got eliminated from the finals, there was a little backwards and forwards going between Lillard and McCollum. Just on the remember there was a bit of brouhaha when Portland were playing against the Clippers. Well, he's tweeted out and said, "Good thing I didn't settle all my my commitments to the bookings for Cancun, because it appears as though they've got a bit of extra.
Got room in their luggage for the players who just got knocked out."
Yes.
That's all he's saying, bro. And he put it on social media.
Yes.
Yeah, in fact, he said, "Hey, my man, do you still have any room in your luggage for these guys who just got knocked out?"
Exactly.
Hey, man.
Now, Copes, is that a bit of sour grapes, or is that a bit of fun? I think it's a bit of fun.
But you got to remember that. You're going to remember that the next time you play these guys. I expect a little argy-bargy next time they play. They don't like each other anyway. Damian Lillard cannot stand the Clippers.
Yes.
The Clippers cannot stand Damian Lillard. Now McCollum's jumped on his boys' side, which is fair enough. But let me tell you something. I can tell you right now,
Yep.
first game of that game next year was going to be fireworks.
Coach, put your coach's hat on now. Assume that you're the coach of the Portland Trailblazers and you hear a little this back and forward that's going on. Would you be picking up the phone and say, hey, Dane, do you just mind back it up a little bit?
Nah.
Because
anybody else you might, but Dame, it seems to get him going anyway. And he's dropping 40, 50, 60, whatever it takes to keep him going, bro. You let him if he wants to type a letter and send it express, you help him out. Put some stamps on there, son. No, sir. You let him do what he's got to do.
But Coach, it's in this public forum, and it brings attention to the whole team. And
you know what I find though, those guys, they don't like Westbrook as well. So it's about those great guards in the Western Conference, and they're going at it, but they make it better for us, for the fans, because they really generally don't like each other.
All right. So, Coach, you have no problems with a little bit of backwards and forwards. Coach, last word on the East. The Celtics are one game down against the Miami Heat. Who is going to come out of the East to play the Lakers? You know what?
This doesn't bother me. I'd like to either one of the teams can come out.
Yeah.
I'm just happy that we're going to see a great series. It looks like it's going to be a pretty good series.
Yeah.
Two teams that are pretty even. I'd love for it to go 7. I think that Celtics have more experience, but not by much.
Yeah.
But you can't count out the Super Miami Heat because their coach has been there and he knows what it takes to get there.
No, if you were doing the Coach of the Year nominations or an awards right now, Eric Spoelstra, he would be, in my judgment, he would be right up there because they have looked extremely
changing defenses, schemes. They run
a little bit of zone. He plays a little bit of zone, mixes it up.
I'm speaking to one of my old friends, Sadell Threed. He goes, "That's Pat Riley. Pat Riley did that back in the day, and he's brought that on, and he's helped Spoelstra, and that's why the Miami Heat are looking the way they look."
Well, next week we want to try and get Sadell Threed on our podcast because we want to pick his brain. He's 15 season in the
NBA, 5 with the Lakers. Yep, Philadelphia.
Yep. No matter which way you slice it, between them and the Celtics, and we might see them in the final.
Wouldn't that be great? The Boston Celtics against the Los Angeles Lakers.
They absolutely.
That's the old time for us.
Of course.
That's what we grew up on.
And they dominate championships, most won championships. Coach, time is getting away from us, but just a touch on the NBL. We see the NBL, they've had to push back the season. Now going to be starting they said last week it's going to be starting in middle of January, but I'm hearing that it might actually push out to February. Hubs is perhaps more on the agenda now than it has been in the past. And in a quirky way of fate, I guess, somehow or other, Victoria's looking like a very strong option for a hub.
That's only if we can get out of this lockdown. Now, if Victoria's big enough, they're talking about playing the games at Rod Laver Arena, which is great. If not, then they're looking at New South Wales. But I just hope that everyone can play at their own home venue because I still don't think hubs work for the NBL because crowds, although crowds have gone up this year or last year, they're still not where you're going to get 8,000 to 9,000 to watch Cairns versus New Zealand. And in order for teams to make money and you need those kind of crowds, and you're just not going to get that in Melbourne.
Well, I think we all understand that the world has changed probably forever, but we're hopeful that by the start of February you can get back and at the very least play games. And, there might be some restrictions on crowds, but we've got a little bit more freedom of movement, not just for basketball, but for all the sports that are going on. It is going to be it's going to be critical.
Yep, sure.
Coach, you've taken your – I can just feel the positive nature and your enthusiasm in today's show. You've gone to a new level.
Sure, I don't know if that's the right word, enthusiasm.
Well,
maybe because I was mad. That's why.
Disappointment with your Clippers. And, geez, I was going to – you know what I thought before the show? I was going to go back and get some of the old tape and you just absolutely dismissing me on the Lakers. And I did say in the other conference, the Celtics and the Miami Heat. Denver has been the surprise one. I'll concede I never saw that one. But on 3 out of 4, you're no good, mate. So, but anyway, chin up. You'll bounce back, I'm sure. Copes, before we go, just another reminder for those that want to learn about podcasting, caper, and just a great man, Dylan Buckley. We had an interview with him. There's a link.
Nice guy, isn't he?
A link below.
He's level guy. He's level, man. He speaks well. He
doesn't know a lot about basketball, but it's about his life journey, and it's got some good lessons in there. So we strongly recommend having a look at that. And the other one is Nate Duncan, the salary cap
basketball podcast. Dunked on basketball podcast.
Salary cap guru, and all the evaluations, the cap breakdowns, all those things. Really interesting guy is Nate Duncan. So tune in to him. Copes, anyone watching this and says, I need to be in the car and I want to listen to these two blokes because this is just real entertaining stuff. The way in which you can consume our little podcast is...
Good. It's not little anymore, pal. When you're getting 2 guests a week,
that's it.
It's not little, bro.
That's it.
Expect to see us and hear us.
Yes.
www.nofilter.media,
yes.
bro.
Yes. And if you don't remember that, you can always jump on my website, gaze.com.au.
Gaze.com.au.
I put it up there. But if you want to get the audio, that's on Spotify, I think it is, and iTunes is another one. There's a whole bunch of platforms out there.
Yep, YouTube, absolutely.
People can jump on. It's been a delight to catching up with you and getting your views despite your emotive state. And we are counting down the days that we can catch up again next week and see how this whole playoff series unfolds. But until next week, we thank everyone for their company, and we look forward to seeing and hearing from you, that is the audience, next week. Social media, Andrew Gage 10, Leonard Cope.
That's right. You said it. That's right. You said Leonard Cope. That's right. They know me. You know me. I'm not happy.
If you want to talk to us, that's how you get us. Until next week, enough waffle from us. We say bye for now.
So long.
This has been a No Filter Media production.
Say what you want.